Federalist 21, Part 5. It is a signal advantage of taxes on articles of consumption that they contain in their own nature a security against excess. They prescribe their own limits, which cannot be exceeded without defeating the end proposed, that is, an extension of the revenue. When applied to this object, the saying is as just as it is witty that in political arithmetic, 2 and 2 do not always make 4. If duties are too high, they lessen the consumption. The collection is eluded, and the product to the treasury is not so great as when they are confined within proper and moderate bounds. So he says we have to be smart. We have to put an excise tax in certain things or consumption tax that it will not be too high to encourage trafficking stuff, smuggling stuff. But it's got to be just the right amount where government makes the money and at the same time people will consume enough of it where they won't need to get it by smuggling. So he says you got to be judicious, you got to be very smart about what to do. This forms a complete barrier against any material oppression of the citizens by taxes of this class and is itself a natural limitation of the power of imposing them. Impositions of this kind usually fall under the denomination of indirect taxes and must for a long time constitute the chief part of the revenue raised in this country. Those of the direct kind, which principally relate to land and buildings, may admit of a rule of apportionment. Either the value of the land or the number of the people may serve as a standard. The state of agriculture and the populousness of a country are considered as having a near relation with each other. And as a rule, for the purpose intended, numbers, in the view of simplicity and certainty, are entitled to a preference. In every country, it is an Herculean task to obtain a valuation of land. In a country imperfectly settled and progressive in improvement, the difficulties are increased almost to impracticability. So he says if we even have to tax people, or if we have to decide between taxing people or the value of their land, it's better to go with individual, with a number of population. Because number one, you don't know how much the value of different pieces of land are. Because some places a land might be developed, or it might be in an area that's developed, the price might go up. And for a country like ours, so vast, it's going to be hard to keep track of it. So it's a good idea to keep the population as a way of maybe taxing rather than the value of the land or house or things like that. The expense of an accurate valuation is in all situations a formidable objection. Again, it's going to cost us a lot just to send people to price out people's lands, houses, the value of them. And then sometimes when you price it out, maybe economy becomes bad, and then the price of the land drops, so you just don't have the right value to begin with. In a branch of taxation where no limits to the discretion of the government are to be found in the nature of the thing, the establishment of a fixed rule not incompatible with the end may be attended with fewer inconveniences than to leave that discretion altogether at large. Notice every once in a while I put this map, even though it's blurry and you can't read the name of the rivers, the main big rivers. I want you to look at them on your computer and just kind of get familiar with them, because it's very important in figuring out where people live, how populations move from the east of the United States to the west and settle, how these rivers are used for carrying cargo. It's extremely important. Like this Mississippi River, we've talked about it. It's very, very important for American settlers that move this way to have access to it so that they can send their cargo, their produce down here and eventually to the east coast of the United States or to Europe if they want to export it. And the same thing, to get things come up eventually and get to their states. So because travel through the land was very difficult at the time. That's why they talk about improvement, internal improvements, like making canals to connect rivers together. Like one of the first projects they did, they tried to connect the Hudson River, which is right up here. Look at that Hudson River in New York, by a canal to one of these lakes, so that they can take produce, they can trade, because right here by the Hudson, by this lake, you have St. Lawrence River that you can send things all over the world using that river. So just be familiar with the rivers and the landmass of the United States. See how vast it is. Okay, this is the Hudson River way up there. I know it's blurry, but you can look it up on your own computer. This is the Tennessee River. This is the Ohio River right here. This is Mississippi all the way from here. It comes right here. And this is the Missouri, which comes in, joins Mississippi and comes down here. This is Platte River, Arkansas River, Red River. I live right here north of Red River in Oklahoma. This is Brazos. This is Rio Grande, borders Mexico. This is Colorado, and that's Snake River, and that's Columbia River over here. Colorado is right here. This is another important river as far as for settlement in this part of United States, as well as agriculture. So just keep those in mind, and we will get back to you and read Federalist number 22 in the next video.